Hello YouTubers, and welcome to my glorious basement game room. And today we'll be reviewing Pokemon Sword and Shield. And this is I would say, a more fair, a more honest, a more forgiving review compared to everybody else who reviewed Pokemon. Everybody from Alternate History Hub to Arlo all said the game was disappointing, the graphics were awful, the way the game, it was just awful, with only a small bit of redeeming. I remember watching those, and then, by the way, I got my copy of Pokemon Shield day one. I pre-ordered it, I got it, and I wanted to say it was pretty fun, pretty good. It has its flaws, but it's pretty good on the whole. And by the way, this is an argument I'll be making throughout the rest of the video. So anyway, I remember watching the reviews, reading the reviews online, and it was just so disheartening, and it actually kind of ruined my experience for a while. So anyway, let's start off with the game. Now, to be fair, this game was made under some strenuous conditions. One, Game Freak decided it would be a good idea to release a game within a year with HD visuals, with this grand, bigger and bolder sort of fashion that Nintendo did with Mario and Zelda, with Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. People were expecting this to be the Pokemon equivalent to Breath of the Wild. Now, expectations were running high, but Game Freak was having problems of their own. You see, they didn't really understand the Switch's architecture, and they're trying to rush a game for the 2019 holidays. So, this game would have obviously had some issues, especially with rushing a game that, in a short period of time, at the same time trying to grapple your head around new hardware. And of course they had their opportunities on learning the new hardware with Pokemon Let's Go, and even Little Town Hero, which, disappeared in a fart because everybody decided to boycott it because they didn't think Game Freak should focus on anything else but Pokemon. So anyway, let's start with the game. So the game opens up, it's this guy named Chairman Rose, and he's introducing you to the world of Pokemon. You name your character, you pick your skin color, your gender, bing, bada boom, you're in the game. So, the first thing you'll notice in this game is that the characters all move their mouths, yet there's no voice acting, which adds sort of like a layer of sort of immersion-breaking dissonance, which, is barely noticeable until you see the cutscenes. And then there's the presentation of the game. The graphics, well, on one hand, it's colorful. Definitely uses a lot more colors than, say, Call of Duty. The world is bright and cheery. It's in HD now, which is, good. But the textures and sort of the look of both characters and Pokemon and the scenery is a little bit different. You've all seen it. The pictures of the trees that use this stupidly low-res texture, and yeah. But I mean, as far as the Pokemon looking very plastic looking, I always chalk that up to the art style of Pokemon, where it's trying to be more like the anime and more like the game's artwork than it is sort of like its own sort of thing. And I can, excuse the fact that all the Pokemon look as shiny and as, untextured as, say, a car in a early driving game. Say, Gran Turismo 1. And the music. The music, and by the way, this is the one thing I will not defend the game from. I thought the music was crap. I thought the music was just so forgettable. And the only good song I can really say is when you're fighting the gym leader. And especially when the gym leader goes down to his or her last Pokemon and Dynamaxes it. And boy, oh boy, is that so full of awesomeness, so full of energy. It really gets you pumped up, especially when you know that you've either saved up your Dynamax at this point, or you didn't, and you know because of type advantages and how powerful your Pokemon moves is in accordance in relation to how high your Pokemon's attack and special attack is, you know you're going to get that sucker in 1 or 2 hits. But there's this song, and I think it's in the town where you fight the grass-type gym leader. I forgot his name. He looks Australian, to say the least, and the music just sounded like awful Nirvana music, like the kind of song Kurt Cobain would think of when he's putting that 2-barreled 12-gauge microphone in his mouth. It's that bad. It really does sound like bad Nirvana music. Like, of course you got your bad Pokemon music, like, you know, like how... Well, actually there's not really any bad Pokemon music I can think of other than, you know, the sort of ear rape that is the original Gen 3 Hoenn games. By the way, when Zune uses trumpets in the music for Touhou Project, he does it a little more gracefully. Sure, he still abuses it, but he uses them more gracefully. In Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, it is like somebody made a YouTube poop of just trumpet sounds and turned them into ear rape. So, but still, bad Pokemon music is still at least somewhat redeeming. But when Pokemon starts imitating Nirvana music, that's where things get a little problematic. So, if the graphics are not half bad, but not quarter good, and the music's kind of, what about the gameplay? Well, here's the thing about the gameplay, is that it's good. You still wander around in all directions, you fight wild Pokemon, and by the way, the Pokemon actually appear as individual Pokemon instead of random encounters, which I'll give them credit, super innovative, and allows for a little more selection when you're finding Pokemon. You know, to weed out that one shiny in a field of regularly colored Pokemon, or to find that one Pokemon that you need to fill up your deck slot. So, yeah, the gameplay is still tight, the battling is fantastic. Of course, there's not really much you can fuck up with turn-based battles, but you know, it's good, even though my only complaint about battling is that the game takes its sweet, sweet time saying your Pokemon's ability, then the opposing Pokemon's ability, but God forbid you have a Pokemon with the ability Trace. Oh boy, does that take bloody forever. I keep pounding the A button, even though the A button doesn't do anything. Still. However, on the whole, the gameplay is still that nice, satisfying, fantastic Pokemon goodness. Now, we go to the plot. And the plot is where things get a little bit interesting. So you're the typical, I would say, tween-age Pokemon trainer who's just started his journey and is obviously going to be the new champion. Even though there's a champion named Leon who says he's so undefeatable, well, in actuality, he is probably the most defeatable thing on Earth. Bar none. And anyway, he is... But then you start the gyms, and by the way, this is the first time in a generation where Pokemon brought back gyms. Like, after experimenting with the Island Trials in Sun and Moon, and I think Sun and Moon are the worst Pokemon games in the entire series, it's alright. It's aight. The gyms, you start, like the gyms, by the way, turn Pokemon into, like, a spectator sport so much, or some sort of thing. Sort of like European football. Soccer, of course. And you start up the gym challenge, you meet up with Hop, and you meet up with this rival named Marnie. And by the way, there is no evil team in this game. I mean, sure, you have Team Yell, but they're not evil. They're not like Team Plasm, where they're trying to, do what PETA tries to do. They're not like Team Galactic that tries to restart the world, from time and space to their own liking. They're not like, they're not like... Sorry for that. There was a family member that needed to pass through here. This is a basement, but there's another room over there. Anyway, like, you're not like Team Rocket, who's just a bunch of mafiosos. You're not like, Team Aqua or Team Magma, who's trying to, create more land or create more sea. Which is pretty retarded, because why do we need more land? Like, of course, having more land is great, especially if you're Dutch, but I mean, last time I checked, nobody on Team Magma was Dutch. And who needs more ocean? Seriously, with all the ice caps melting, why do we need more frickin' water? Anyway, Team Yell is actually sort of... The only thing bad they do is that they're just a bunch of hooligans. Of course, there's this sort of sad backstory where Marnie and Team Yell comes from this dilapidated town off in the east of Galar. And, oh, boo-hoo-hoo, they're behind the times. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo, their gem isn't as modern. Oh, boo-hoo-hoo, they're dilapidated, and sort of like, if Detroit became a Pokemon town. Boo-hoo-hoo. As you can tell, I'm not really super attached to that, because I'm a living bastard. Anyway, so, but then, later on in the game, there is an evil bad guy. You just don't know it yet. So anyway, you defeat the gyms, and this game sort of does... At some point, you go into the wild area. And the wild area is this massive area where you can rotate the camera in any way you want. You could, manipulate everything and go anywhere, and it seems so big. However, I have one problem with the wild area. It's not that big. In the trailers, they depict it as this massive fucking area that you can explore. But let me tell you something. It's just this L-shaped piece of land that you can explore on. And each different subsection is only like a few yards big. And it's just so small. And yet, in order to catch any number of the Pokemon in the Pokedex, you have to hang out in the wild area with whatever few hang around in the routes. And once you get the bike, the wild area sort of shrinks. It shrinks down significantly in size, because now that you can traverse the entire wild area really fast with the bike, you then realize that you can go from one end to the other in under a minute. Yikers. But anyway, it's still an idea in the right direction. It's a step in the right direction in Pokemon's development as a game, or as it innovates in and of itself. So anyway, you play the game, and apparently there's mysterious Dynamaxing Pokemon, and it's because Chairman Rose, you remember him from earlier, is the evil guy. He apparently is trying to Dynamax Pokemon, or like take advantage of it, and take advantage of the thing called the Darkest Day, which is this evil cataclysmic event that happens because of some Pokemon named Eternatus. And he's doing this because there's going to be an energy shortage, not a year into the future, not 5 years into the future, not 10, nor 20, not even 25, or 50 years into the future, or perhaps even 100, not even 1,000 years, I might say, around 3,000 years into the future. Yes, Chairman Rose is so worried for the future that apparently he doesn't think that the world would innovate itself in energy production from then until the future. But he decides to, do the dumbass thing and try to have the Darkest Day happen. Of course, you stop him, he runs away, like any good well-meaning German war criminal, he probably went to Argentina to hang out with the other war criminals. Not to say he is a war criminal, but he sure as hell acts like one. After that bombshell, you then defeat the champion, who's, by the way, is incredibly defeatable. So incredibly defeatable that a guy, I think either Poketips or the J-Wits, managed to defeat his entire team with a EV-trained Magikarp that knows Splash, Flail, and Hydro Pump. Apparently it can learn Hydro Pump now. So, yeah, uber defeatable. And then you engage in the post-game, which is nothing more than you going bing, 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 bing across the map, defeating Dynamax Pokemon, and fighting these two guys named, I think, Swordward and Shieldbert. Which, by the way, is what happens if you take Bert and Ernie, name them after Squidward, and then that's it. Like, and those two guys are such dicks in the game. Like, are you kidding me? And it's all over in like an hour. Seriously, you can speedrun Pokemon Sword and Shield and still have enough time in the day to not only speedrun SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, because I'm going to assume Shift is doing all of this, but also have time to make yourself 15 cups of coffee, clean your entire wardrobe in the wash, one load at a time because you only have one dryer, one washer, cook a sumptuous dinner for 50 people, and watch the Godfather trilogy 60 times before it's even 5:30 in the afternoon. Which brings us to my second biggest complaint, the amount of content. You see, this game costs $60. $60 implies that there's going to be lots of content in this game. Lots of content that would make you play for hours upon hours upon hours. Well, let me tell you something. When I played Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, I spent more than 100 hours. Same goes for a number of other Pokemon games. I just spent that much amount of time playing it. This, I've played for 70 hours and felt satisfied. Now, of course, this is after I decided to complete the Galar Pokedex and get the DLC, but the DLC I'll review in a separate video. So there's not much content to it. There's actually the first generation of Pokemon games actually had more routes than this. Of course, all the reason there's so many goddamn routes in Gen 1 was because all routes terminated at 90-degree angles, but that is neither here or there. What is here or there is that there's not much in this game. There's like 10 routes, like 12 routes. The wild area, of course, which functions as just one big route. And there's barely any post-game content. There's no, like, super hard dungeon full of hard Pokemon with a legendary at the other end. There is no dungeons. There's, like, 2 caves. And they're so point A to point B, so linear, that they could have been easily replaced by a route. Like, and of course they got rid of HMs, And by the way, I had a friend, his name's Ryan, and he thinks that Pokemon is better off without dungeons or without HMs. However, as a person who's been playing Pokemon since his teenage years, or early on as a tweenager, I can say that when you get rid of dungeons and HMs, as annoying as HMs are, you are removing an essential part of Pokemon. You are removing the player's ability to solve puzzles, to give the player the ability to access new areas, especially across bodies of water, and to be able to transport the player easily from place to place. You are getting rid of anything that makes the Pokemon games interesting from a level design perspective. And that's essentially what happened here. The level design, if you could call it that, is minimalistic, linear. In fact, the game is so railroaded with the ability, because you're moving essentially from the bottom of the Galar region to the top. It is so railroaded. You could call the Galar region the Island of Sordor, replace Chairman Rose with Sir Topham Hatt, and play as, Thomas the Tank Engine. This is so railroad. You would have thought that the Reverend Wilbert Audrey, collaborating with Britt Allcroft and David Mitton, were making a Railway Series video game. This is essentially so railroad. It could have been a Thomas the Tank Engine game, and I wouldn't have bat an eye at it. Of course, I'm also a huge fan of Thomas, so who's to say that I would still like it? I would. This is all unscripted, by the way. Anyway, this game. So, the presentation is a little naff. The gameplay is still solid. The price, a little bit much concerning the lack of content. So is this game actually good? I would say yes. Despite the flaws, it is still a good game. I mean, Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated had lots of flaws, but at the core, it's still a good game. The only difference, that game is significantly cheaper than this, but that's neither here or there. What's here or there is this game is still good. Get it at a discount if you can, but if you can spare $60 and you're not interested in, say, something more, I would say, meaty like Dragon Quest X, Echoes an Elusive Age S, then this is a good game. This is also good. This is also a recommended if you're a Pokemon player, if you're a Pokemon fan. So, on the whole, I give it a thumbs up.